so tight when he sees your eyes running through the night. Only takes him back, always side to side, crowding through the night. Run, you can run, but you'll never hide. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming.
A very good evening to everyone. I hope you're all well and not too sticky because it is very, very, very hot. Just enjoyed the tennis. As I record this, the Lionesses are currently playing 18 minutes in 1-0 up. Do apologise that we're slightly late. One of our guests had a bit of a technical issue, but I'm happy to say that's all sorted. So let me bring on my first guest tonight. You'll recognise him. I think he was one of our first or second ever guests on the channel when we did the live podcast. It is Tim Nash. Welcome, Tim. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad now that the technical issue is sorted and I can finally be seen. But apart from that, I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Dave?
Mate, I'm hot. I've got the door. I've got the door over. There ain't much wind about, so you know.
No, there's not. No, it's not as bad as it was. Yes, not as hot as it was. Sorry, as it was yesterday.
It's too hot for me. I like it. If it drops down about 5 or 6 degrees, I'm happy. So yeah, but I'm really looking forward to hearing your take and anything that you've been hearing as well behind the scenes. So thank you ever so much. I think Carl saying you would have first guest on our podcast. I remember that back in the day. We're now on 400 and. This is the 470th Always Wolves podcast. I know, it's crazy. But you've been on a few times in between. And I'm delighted also to be joined tonight by Sutty. Yeah, you doing, mate?
Evening, Dave, Tim.
Fantastic.
Hi,
listen, it's great to have you on, mate. What you been up to?
Went to the pub Friday evening down in Tewkesbury. Place called the Fleet at Twinning, right by the River Avon. Very nice. And then went to Birmingham for the day yesterday, Dave. Had a few.
You went to pub?
A few shandies there in Brindley Place as well. So, it's been revolved around drink, really.
I'll tell you what, this time of year, though, you know, you do want something nice and cold, don't you? You know what I mean? It's you just do. I mean, I'm not a big drinker, even I've had a pint, so that says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Before we get cracking, I do want to say a massive, big thank you, as always, to the amazing people at Creation Wolf who power tonight's show. They deliver the industry's most advanced digital solutions. They'll take your brand, online presence, and digital capabilities to the next level. I've got them working really hard at the moment on 3 different projects. You can find them on creationwolf.com. The link is in the description below. So hello to Michael, Louise, and everyone if you're watching. And indeed, hello to everyone watching in the chat. So look, we didn't do a show last week. Sutty was due to come on last week out of respect for the sad loss of obviously Diogo Jota, the outpouring of love for him across the football world, across the sporting world, in fact, across the world, has been absolutely special. It didn't feel right last weekend. But like Sutty and Tim, if you've just got any words you want to say about Diogo, and anyone in the chat wants to say that before we move on into some Wolves chat.
Go on, Tim.
Just overwhelmingly sad. I was on holiday last when the news broke last Thursday, and you know, I don't mind saying that, you know, I was just stunned by the awfully sad news, and you know, it's you know, got a great loss, you know, in for him as to you know, the great player that he was. But you know, let's also not forget, as you know, many have said, that you know, that's there's 3 young lads there who have grown up without a father, you know, a wife of 10 days grown up, you know, contemplating life without a husband of less than 2 weeks. two brothers that have gone, parents who are grieving the loss of their son. As parents, you should never have to experience the loss of your child, and he's going to be missed by so many on so many levels. You've probably seen sort of footage from Deepdale today of the
Play Preston,
between Preston and Liverpool, and I saw the before the teams came out, a very emotionally stirring rendition of "You'll Never Walk Alone," and I think the Preston captain laying a wreath and delivering paying his respects. Before the Liverpool fans. So it's a very, very sad time, and I still haven't said anything about it on social media, to be honest, because just to try to find the right words and say I was away.
Well,
And
it's really difficult, and I think the outpouring of love from across the football world, the Wolves fans and Liverpool fans have been, the tributes have been absolutely marvellous for him and well deserved. But Sutty, anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, absolutely gut wrenching, right, Dave? I don't know if you can remember when Neves left a couple of seasons ago. I actually said to you to never get attached to any players, because they'll kiss the badge and they'll move on, and then they'll kiss that badge and vice versa. So I do try not to get attached to them in a sporting way like that. But my God, that spoiled my week, Dave. And to think of his young wife with 3 young kids and his parents that have lost 2 sons, it's just unimaginable what they must be going through. And I sincerely hope when we go there to Anfield on the 27th of December for the away game, that we can all get together, and I'm sure they'll sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" loud and proud, and it's something we would never do, but I really do hope we join in with them, Dave, and show the ultimate respect to them as a club as well, because don't forget, he wasn't our player, he used to be, but he's their player. They've retired the shirt, and rightly so. And I think the ultimate thing that we can all do is show the respect that they deserve as well, because they've been absolutely amazing as a football club to him and his family.
Yeah, absolutely well said. And I know that Wolves are actively working on looking at the tribute to Diogo, which will probably be, I think, the Man City game, which I think is right rather than the Celta Vigo game. The old gold pack got a bit of thing going where they're trying to raise some money for potentially, what do they call it? The big flags for him as well. So, check out the old gold pack, and if you can help support them as well. And I'm pretty sure that Wolves and Liverpool will be looking to do something as well when they play each other. But it just, like, you still can't believe it. It's so dreadfully sad. But it's the first chance we've had to really talk about it since, I say, last weekend. It just seemed wrong to even talk about anything Wolves over the weekend on the Saturday or the Sunday when the funeral and the wake was going on. But we did, as I say, we went down on the Friday. We laid some flowers from everyone at Always Wolves, and there's so many people that did the same. So hopefully we'll hear more news on what Wolves will be doing in regards to the respects to Diogo, and of course, without doubt, the Wolves family will pay their tribute then. So let's get stuck into some Wolves news. I think the first place for us to start, because we haven't really had a chance to have a proper chat about it, is we're going to be talking obviously about the transfer window and all of that. But Jeff, Tim, our chairman, he did a quite a long podcast not so long back. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to that or watch any of that. What's your take out of that from Jeff and the points that he made from that podcast?
I mean, I've only seen small sort of extracts from it. I haven't listened to it, I must admit.
I can give you the main points if it helps. I can.
I've seen the. I think the so the Express and Star took a chunk of the stuff that he said about the ground. Talking about any sort of potential developments, and that it seems like, which will, no doubt be frustrating, for fans, that there's no kind of update on or no kind of tangible sort of major structural developments going to happen to Molineux in the near future. I think we it's more concentrated on a sort of more minor kind of refurbishment of the Steve Bull stand.
His quote was, Molineux is a good stadium. I have seen many stadiums in the UK and ours. The capacity is about right. Maybe 40,000 is the maximum. It's not very urgent to go bigger. He went on to say the key improvement is in hospitality. Needs more space and better facilities. The main changes we're looking at are more hospitality area to serve clients for business events, conferences, to enjoy the matches in a better environment. We have a very old stand, the Steve Bull stand, built in the 1980s. Our plan is to renovate that with more room for hospitality. We're not looking for super rich exclusive hospitality like some clubs. We're focusing on providing better experiences for a range of business clients. He then went on to emphasise that full-scale expansion isn't justifiable right now. Financially, making small, smart changes over time is the way to go. Financially, if you need a complete rebuild for only 3 or 4 matches a year, it doesn't work. You lose money in the long term. We're carefully considering plans, but the goal isn't to rebuild the stadium. It's about tweaking and optimising what we have. That's his main quotes about the stadium, Tim.
Yeah. As I say, it sounds more like kind of tweaking around the edges, doesn't it, than a kind of full scale sort of rebuild. So the Steve Morgan project to turn Molineux into a 50,000 stadium will remain mothballed, for and who knows whether that'll ever see the get beyond the drawing board. But Jeff Shi knows the finances of the club better than we do, and you'd have to argue that he's certainly got a point regarding capacity, because I don't think the demand is currently there. And of course, you can argue, well, if you invested more in the team and the team got more successful, that would increase demand at the turnstiles. And yes, that's probably the case. But I think you have to look at the sort of the size of club that Wolves are, and question, would the demand be there? Wolves have never had an average crowd of more than just over 45,000 in their history. Yes, there's been plenty of occasions where the gates have topped 50,000, but they're currently the current capacity of 31,700. It is reached. I think the ground is 90, but off the top of my head, I think it's at least 90%, maybe 95% full for home games. But there are occasions where it does dip beneath that, and you can. There's not been a case where games have been actually genuinely sold out for some time now. Certainly on a regular basis. So for me, the demand is not there. But I think in terms of numbers, it's not. But something has to be done, I think, about the Steve Bull stand. But for me, even on a more cosmetic basis, I was at the Wolverhampton City Archive yesterday, and I don't quite understand what's going on with the roofs of the stand. The steel work, because there's it's very patchy. You know, there's bits that are where the paint's flaking off, and there are bits that that have been repainted. And I certainly remember under different owners that seemed to be like a regular contract. You know, that every year or every summer or every couple of summers that would be renewed. You know, because obviously with the colour that it is, it fades rather quickly. And I just think from anyone coming to the ground, you know, you want to see it looking neat and tidy. And for me, peeling paintwork is, surely doesn't cost that much to fix, and should be looked at on a regular
Well,
basis.
to be fair, on that, this was a big topic 18 months ago, where there's massive disgusting Molyneux was. They have, it is costing a lot of money. It's hundreds of thousands of pounds that it's costing to do, because it's a big job, because it's not just about putting paint on it. They have to strip it right back. They have to lay the thing, and they have to then paint over it and stuff. And it's something that I don't think was finished. But if you look around most of Molyneux, it's a lot better shape in terms of the paintwork than it was just over 18 months ago. But it's still not finished, because if you look at the top, you can see where it stops. And I'll go past Molyneux quite a lot, and there is still work going on. So whether this is ongoing, it was working up to a certain point, so not finished it, and they're carrying on at the moment, trying to finish off the work that they did last year. I don't know, but it's like you say, it shouldn't ever have got into that state at all.
No.
And that's the issue. It did, and it took a lot of fan pressure, really, and internal management pressure to finally get Jeff to spend some money on that. Sutty, the podcast starts off with the stadium, and then I'm sure you've got plenty to talk about all the points. As I say, we did on alwayswolves.co.uk. We did quite an in-depth breakdown of all the main points, which we can go through in a little bit. But Sutty, where do you want to start?
Well, I'll quickly jump onto that stadium thing, Dave, because for me, you've got to speculate to accumulate here. And Molyneux's become a little bit like a remolded tyre, one of them cheap tyres you used to buy, and it keeps getting a puncture repair kit used on it all the time. It's basically a pile of shite, Dave. Yeah. Apart from the North Bank, it's piss poor. Let's be honest, it's poor, Dave. And they promised, I never promised you, they promised this 50,000 seater stadium. They promised what we will be doing when we go in the Premier League. I didn't promise. They promised. They seem to be putting.
To be fair though, Sutty, sorry to cut in. That wasn't Fosun promising. That was Steve Morgan's model.
No, Jeff. Well, it was, the stadium was, but what Jeff's promised ever since, Tim, has been, some of it's been astronomical, because none of it's come true. But for me, I'm going to take the Arsenal route. Now, I know Arsenal are a bigger football club than Wolves.
Yeah.
Arsenal supporters accepted that they might not do quite so well on the pitch. They were never going to get relegated or anything like that, but they were going to have a purpose-made functional stadium for the Premier League for a club of their size. Now, it did affect them on the pitch. It did, that's fact. But now it's all sort of paying for itself. They've took off again. Always in second or third place. They've took off again. Always in the Champions League. And it worked. So you've got to speculate to accumulate. And if you keep producing what is pretty poor on the pitch too, you won't get fans that want to come to a shoddy stadium either. So first and foremost, you have got to give them something to be drawn into. And I think they will then accept, if we can see that stadium being done and done properly, not patching it up here, temporary stands, like that bit of scaffolding in the corner, stuff like that. If they can see it being done properly, we will forgive most things, because we will see that they are mega serious. Now, I know people are going to come on here now and say, well, they bankrolled us for £30-odd million a year since they've been here. They have. It's theirs. They have to. It's not mine. It's not yours. They have to do it to keep it afloat. They know the score. They have to do it. But let's not forget as well that we were worth 45 million. We're now worth 450 million. So the profit margins for the club, what they've made on the club and took it up to, you can't knock them for. But at some point, we've got to have a serious discussion on what direction this club is going in, I'm afraid.
On that, Sutty, whilst we're on the stadium, I agree personally. I look around, I look at Villa investing, I look at Liverpool building another stadium, I look at Forest, I look at Palace. Everton have built, Tottenham, look at their stadium, it's unbelievable. It took a while. Man United want to build a big top. That's fair play to them. Okay, they want to build a 100-seater big top tent. Wolverhampton, we're a Premier League club, and some of our facilities are not Premier League. And although I understand completely on the corporate side of it, they make revenue off the corporate clients and all that, that's great. And the Steve Bull stand isn't particularly great for the corporate because they're behind that sheet of glass. They can't come out like on the other stand. What slightly niggles me is that he talked about we need to improve it for the corporate clients. But the average fans, there's one chap there that said, try sitting in the Steve Bull stand when you're 6 foot. The experience for the fans in the Steve Bull stand is not fit for purpose for a Premier League club. They can't get their drinks. They worry about drink sales and stuff like that. Well, you can't get your drinks or your pies or something. There's massive. It's a very narrow corridor. The toilets, people struggle to get in there. And I was talking to a Tottenham fan, and they said that before the build, the new Tottenham stand, the average spend was £1 per person on food and beverage and things like that. Now it's £13. Why? Because they have a better, they can access food and drink better. They've got a big open space. It's much more of an experience. And I really, really get annoyed by the fact that I'm in the North Bank, so I'm quite lucky in some respects where I am because it's the newest stand. But there's other fans that just don't have that match day experience. Tim, do you kind of get that frustration from the fans, Tim, that they're playing, that they had the season tickets go up 17% the year before last? Okay, well done for freezing it this year, but the experience for the match going fan has gone down.
Yeah, I accept that. I think I do. I think what it does, along with increased frustration for fans, is only kind of fuel the debate about Fosun's long-term interest in keeping Wolves, doesn't it? Do they want to speculate to accumulate? Do they want to invest for the long term? How keen are they to keep Wolves for many years to come? I'm not sure. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm not, because I'm not nowhere near as close to it as I used to be, and I'm not involved in on a daily basis now. But I'm not sure, how, if is anybody sure of their kind of long-term commitment?
Well, from the way she was talking on the podcast, Fosun ain't going anywhere anytime soon, especially not in the next couple of years. I think it was clear from his podcast. He talked about the future, looking ahead. He said she's not planning to sell the club, but is open to minority investment for strategic growth. He stressed communication with the fans is key, but also the fans need to realise the difficulties of professional football management. He said he was proud that Wolves have stayed in the Premier League for 8 years, their longest run since '76. But he also said we're ambitious and we're not only content to stay in the league or be mid-table, but we want to be bigger in a new way. So generally, there isn't any short-term plan for him to sell, but they are open to investment coming in.
Yeah, so nothing's changed on that, has it? You know, they've that's been the call for a couple of years or so, hasn't it?
It has. So yeah, from the stadium point of view, I think, you know, most fans would want to see a proper roadmap, and we keep saying it, on what's happening with the stadium development. Serious conversations about, you know, the expansion. I personally believe, I'm an old thing. If you build it and it's at the right price, and the pricing structured, we could easily get to 50,000 if we had the right. If I'm not saying we should go to 50,000, I'd like going up to even to 40,000. But like, if you look at some of the German clubs that have really big stadiums, or even playing in the second tier, 60, 70,000, their pricing structure is so much lower. So it makes it affordable for everyone to come, and they spend a lot more money. So if you build it and you've got success, people will come. But I think there's a lot of people that have got very disillusioned in the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years, and have sort of got fed up, and the prices are going on, and the quality on match day in terms of the experience for the match going fan hasn't improved. In fact, probably got worse. And then the football on the pitch, we've been struggling. People are thinking, oh, can't be bothered anymore. And that's why, you know, each year you have a couple of thousand fans that don't renew. Sutty, on the rest of the of that podcast, just to some of the bullet points on the podcast, he talked about leadership structure and coming back from mistakes. He actually said, I've made a mistake and maybe tried away from football for a while. The promotion to Premier League, we did well. We went to Europe, finished 7th twice. I'm not from the football industry. I have more interest. I thought I could focus more on that. So he basically has put his hand up that he's made some mistakes over the past 3 or 4 years. He's put emphasis on presence and teamwork, which is why they've built this new leadership team. He's sort of stated, and going back on the article in the Express Star that he wrote about, if you want to win things, maybe Wolves ain't for us. He's sort of backtracked on that. Said we're very ambitious, but not only content to stay in the league and be mid-table. Learning from success and failure. Biggest lesson he said he's learned from the last 10 years is sometimes when you're doing well, be careful. You have to prepare for different options. Otherwise, you only go one pathway and you fail from there. There's no pathway to come back. After 2 7th place finishes, he said we could believe the top 4. When it didn't happen, cost remains high, and it's taken us till now to rebuild the financial structure. He's talked about sustainable finances, building for the future. He said the club needs to understand club-wide understanding of elite football, how to compete at the highest level, not relying on luck of the work of one person. You need to make the club as a whole understand football better. If you don't, sometimes you're lucky, you win something, but eventually you will lose. He went on to talking about the brand and esports. He sees the club growth beyond the pitch, including business, entertainment, esports, to believe this is essential for broadening Wolves' reach and long-term success. If we only stay on football, we have to compete with lots of other clubs in the UK. It's impossible for us to have the same fan base in the UK as Man United have. We have to look outside to do very well in the league and have other powers help us build a bigger empire. Talked about the women's football and the bit of the structure that they've got on there. Selling players and building the squad. Talked about that stadium real development, and then obviously the looking ahead. Those are just the main points out of that hour and 20-minute podcast, Sutty. I don't think there's probably a couple of other points that you want to pick up on.
Well, Jeff Shi lost me on that interview, Dave, when he said we're closer to Manchester City now than we've ever been. So that just proves everything I needed to really know about the bloke, to be honest, and what I've been saying for years. Just a quick one on here, Dave. So I'm getting a bit of grief off a guy called Alan Johnson who says, how am I going to pay for this stadium and what have you? I'm not a financial expert. I'm no financial expert, but if Birmingham City can do it, Alan, I'm sure the leaders of a worldwide conglomerate could fathom out a way of upping our stadium to 40,000. And I have been on here more than twice, so you obviously haven't been watching very long. Well, for me, he's not a football man. We all know that Jeff isn't a football man. He openly admits he's not a football man. He's learning on the job. And there's two sides to this, really, because as I've just said, Dave, when they bought us, we were worth £45 million. We're now valued at 450 million. So if you were the head of a worldwide conglomerate, and your chairman, your leader, managing director, wherever she is, turned it into a £450 million asset, you would be very, very happy with him, wouldn't you? And because you're an investment company and it is all about making money. Now, I'm pretty sure if somebody came in and offered between 450 and 500 million for it, that they would sell. But there ain't that many people around, Dave, that have got the 450, 500 million, then so many billion to back it up with. They're just not standing around on street corners outside Molyneux, are they? So some of the stuff he said, I can accept. Some of the stuff he said, I can't. He's clearly
Can I
a
just ask
talented
you
businessman.
on that point? Because I think everyone would be interested. What are the things that you can accept on the one side from what you said? Because the one thing I will say, and Jeff gets stick, and from the fan base and stuff like that, he's there to run the club. He's got incredibly thick skin, and he's right. People are right to criticise, but if he doesn't speak or say anything, he gets gypped for not. We don't hear from our chairman when we're going to hear from him. When he does speak, obviously he leaves himself open to be things. So I think you've got to give him credit for going on and doing an interview in the first place, and people can get to see a bit more about him as the man. But like equally, you say some things like what you say. Some of the things you can agree with, I agree, like the same as you, and some of the things I just can't get behind or see, such as the stadium and the women's sort of thing as well. But what are the things that you agree with and disagree?
The thing is, Dave, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and let's not forget that this wasn't a football podcast. This was a business. This was a business podcast. So he's trying to explain how he's got Wolves from being worth £45 million to £450 million. Now, it's not really about buying players and who he deems as good players and who are bad players. Obviously, you mentioned the likes of Catroni. He's not going to mention Fabio Silva as his worst signing because he's still on our book, so he'd be a fool to do that.
Yeah,
but he's just not a football person. He loves esports. We know he loves esports, and we know at the moment, well, I know at the moment that the esports World Cup is taking place, and he wants the Wolves badge to be at the forefront of that because he sees that as the next big thing. Now, that might be the next big thing, but I'm led to believe that under the Wolves badge, that not much money of that would come back into Wolves, and I don't really like that.
I think on that mark, I think just a little bit on that, on the esports, because I have had conversations about this with senior management about the esports side of things. Obviously, Wolves are owned by Fosun Sports, aren't they? The Wolves esports side of things falls under that, as what did Wolves Records, Wolves Fashion, and all that comes under the Fosun Sports thing. It's very common knowledge that Jeff loves his gaming and his esports. He talks about Football Manager, doesn't he, on the podcast? One of the things that I do know, because I've been told this in the past, when Wolves are out to offer sponsorships, front of shirt sponsorships, and obviously next year, this will be the last year of a betting sponsor on the front of the shirt because you can't have a betting sponsor. Wolves are putting out for sponsors in the likes of Crystal Palace, Brighton, Bournemouth, all of that sort of people. What Wolves can offer as an additional thing to sponsors is sponsorship on the front across esports things as well, in terms of all that. That's one thing that he does use it for. The other thing, what in terms of the badge, and he talks about a little bit on the podcast, is they are using the Wolves brand, the Wolves colours, the Wolf head, and all that sort of stuff, and Wolves. And I think one of the things he was trying to say is that Wolves haven't got the global reach of a Man United, a Liverpool, or a City, or a Chelsea, but by doing the esports, indirectly, it will create Wolves fans for the football team, which will indirectly help revenues come in. So I think that's some of the thinking. Also, there's another train of thought that if Wolves, the esports side of it, are profitable, and it is minuscule really in comparison to a football thing, eventually, Fosun Sports, as long as the whole group is profitable, one can top the other up, if you get what I mean, indirectly. So I think that's some of the thinking.
I get that. I do get it. But what you've got to remember is that, well, I've been going 47 years, home and away, Dave. You know yourself, over 1,800 games. Now, I deem myself a normal football supporter. Probably, I don't know, 25,000. If you included the away support, best part of 29,000 people are normal football supporters. We go to watch football. We don't give a nun's chuff about corporate tickets. We don't give a nun's chuff about esports. We go there to see our team win, lose or draw, and we cheer them on. You lose that fan base, and you've got people sat in collars and ties in the new Steve Bull structure, if he ever does it, or the North Bank in WV1 and the boxes. You've got nothing. Wolverhampton is not a big city, and it's the heartbeat of this city. And if he doesn't take into account what it means to this city, they'll bomb him out, Dave. If Vitor Pereira hadn't have had such a good second half of the season, he would have been in the deep proverbial, Dave, because you know and I know at every game his name was being chanted. We're going into a World Cup year, and the last thing that they will want is bad publicity. So if they mess this window up and start off bad next season, he's in deep trouble.
I'll tell you what, Sutty, you're absolutely right on all of those points, because that's the thing that legacy fans, as we're so called, you know, all we're really, really bothered about, and all most fans are bothered about, is what's happening when we signing a player. And what really winds a lot of the fans up on social media is like when Wolves share the Wolves esports account, because I don't know why they do it really. I know they want to say these esports people are doing whatever, and there are people that follow that and are really into that, and that's great. But every time it gets shared on the Wolves main account, they just get so much negativity because people are just going, we don't want to hear about esports. Tim, have you got any thoughts on that side of things from a or any at any conversations at any point about the esports side of things?
I must admit, a bit like Sutty, really. It doesn't. I don't really understand it. I'm a football fan, and I've been watching Wolves for 45 years, and I I've seen a lot of football, but I don't know esports, and I think I'm one of the majority. I don't, my passion is for football, for Wolves, and what happens on the pitch, and not so much really, about gaming, or again, the context of Jeff Shi talking about this in his interview, it was the business of football, wasn't it? It was a business interview, and obviously Wolves, not being one of the biggest clubs in the land, have to find a way to level that playing field, level a very uneven playing field, and bridge that gap. And I don't think, while we might not understand esports and other income streams, none of us are going to moan if it means more money available for ultimately for buying better players. One thing I would, just to go off slightly off this particular topic, is that I thought it was very interesting this week. That Vitor Pereira has been allowed to bring in two first team coaches, because and also the noise is that he's going to have a bigger say in signings, and he is handpicked, it would appear, the sporting director, and I think it signals a shift in power If you look at the model that was used up until recently with Gary O'Neill and Matt Hobbs, it signals. I think Hobbs' departure certainly signals a departure away from that way of working, and also it signals a shift in the power base of the head coach that perhaps we haven't seen for quite some time. That Vitor Pereira has got quite a bit of clout at Wolves now. It would appear, and has managed to do that in a pretty short space of time. Really, you're looking at 6 months. And yes, he's turned around the fortunes on the pitch, but having that sort of influence both on the training ground and it would appear further up the food chain, I think sort of shows the faith that Jeff Shi has got in him. Now, of course, we all know that the proof's in the pudding, and what happens on the pitch, the results on the pitch will ultimately dictate Vitor Pereira's fate. But certainly for the time being, before a ball's kicked, it looks like he's got arguably more influence than perhaps Gary O'Neill had. And I think we'll see, that'll be reflected in the transfer market with the signings that'll be coming in.
Absolutely. To be honest, and you know what, Tim, that is an absolutely seamless link that you've just done there, because that seamlessly links into the next part of the show, which is talking about the transfer window as it is, and of course the change of maybe the change of direction. I think this is a lot of what Jeff was talking about in the podcast as well. It seems like it's a fresh broom. Matt Hobbs, obviously, his power was taken away. He's left the club. Domenico Tetti's come in as technical director. There's been a complete restructure in the leadership team, trying to get more football people in, it seems. 2 of his coaches have come in to support him at the start of the season. Sutty, what's your take on this and where we currently are in the transfer window? Obviously, as you know full well as well, most, probably 70-75% of the players reported back from pre-seasons for the internationals are going to be a bit late. Hugo Bueno and Rodrigo Gomez won't be joining up until after the training camp because of their involvement in the under-21s championships. You've been sitting back watching all of this, players going out, Cunha, Rain Aït-Nouri, Sarabia, Doyle, some Chiquino's gone. We've bought in who's the chap that we bought in?
Lopez.
We bought in Fer Lopez. Strand Larsen's has been made permanent. Young Mane signed his first professional contract. Taking all of that into account, the whole thing, what are your thoughts right now on the 14th of July?
Look, I'll quickly go back to what Jeff said when he said, this was another point he made, Dave, and he actually said this in this interview. Our squad is strong enough to compete now. No, Jeff, it's not. It's not strong enough to. It's probably strong enough to compete in a bottom 4 relegation battle, but it's not strong enough to compete now. As it stands, it's not strong. But what does give me a little bit of hope is they've brought more coaches in who Vitor Pereira wants. We've got a new sporting director that Vitor Pereira wanted, who he's worked with. And I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't bring these people in if they didn't have things lined up. Now, last week was, look, no one expected what happened last week with Jota and what have you. And I think it'd have been pretty poor of us as a club to go announcing new signings and what have you. But what we can do as a club, Dave, from here on now, because this is a new week and we do have to move on at some point, is make sure that we do the lad proud and sign some quality players that are ready to go, because we need them. we cannot keep letting quality players go. And might I add, on the cheap, because we do sell on the cheap. I don't care what anybody says. We sell on the cheap. We're an easy club to do business with. We don't dig our feet in, and we sell players cheap. So, but I do expect us in a World Cup year where they'll want to be seen to be doing well, because we're the only club of note on a worldwide scale in the best league in the world, owned by a Chinese company. They will not want us floundering in the bottom four again. This is a big year of advertising for them as well. Huge. They will want us in the upper echelons of this division. Now, if they don't sign many, we won't be, and they'll fail, because you can't keep circling that sinkhole without suddenly dropping. But I do expect 5 minimum quality signings without selling Andre to the likes of Juventus, who I might add haven't got a pot to piss in. So I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
Yeah, with the links with Andre, absolutely. Tim, I don't know what obviously, as someone's put on here, you've always been a top journo. Obviously, yeah, you're a little bit further away from it from when you were in your prime and stuff like that. But you've probably still got a few contacts knocking around and stuff. Have you got anything to add on the summer transfer thing? Anything that you've heard?
I mean, I as you pointed out, I don't like to be referred to as past my prime, Dave, but I'm certainly not involved on reporting on the club on a daily basis now. Yeah, I mean, you only have to look at the numbers, and I think anybody, getting to the end of last season would think, well, we've got to invest certainly in the forward areas. Losing Cunha and Sarabia, for a start, and they need another central defender. They're going to probably replace Ryan Aït-Nouri as well, although I personally am quite excited about seeing Hugo Bueno given a chance, because I think defensively he's more than a match for Aït-Nouri. He can deliver a ball, he can get forward as well, and and this was
Cross the ball as well.
I'm actually basing that. Yeah, he's got he's an excellent crosser of a ball, and I'm basing that on what I saw of him live before he left for a season on loan at Feyenoord, where he's played a lot more regular football and has been given glowing reports from Robin van Persie, hasn't he? So I think we can expect to see him given a chance, but equally, they'll be looking to invest. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Fabio Silva? For me, it seems to me like every year fans have this debate about whether he's good enough. I think we'd know by now if he was good enough. I personally don't think he is good enough for the Premier League, and so we can discount him. I think as far as the Wolves first team opportunities go, but Vitor Pereira, I think, wants a perhaps somebody who fits in more to his structure than Matheus Cunha did. I think he wants somebody who he knows, sort of form-wise, temperament-wise, he knows what he's going to get week in, week out. Somebody with a big heart and a bit of passion in that position, who's obviously also going to deliver goals and assists. I think Jorgen Strand Larsen's only going to get better, and for the life of me, I don't understand the criticism that he's got received in certain quarters on social media, because to outscore Raul Jimenez in his first season, what Jimenez did in his first season, I think is a fantastic, and he was injured as well, and it's such a hard league to come into. There's a whole list of more high-profile players who perhaps struggled more than he did in his first season, including, and Thierry Henry's at the top of that list. And I think he'll only get better. And I think Wolves, he's proved he gets in some fantastic positions. He scores a good percentage of his chances. But obviously the forward areas at the moment are cause for concern, because we need numbers. I think for me, Sam Johnson will go, and it's whether they will bring in another goalkeeper to compete with Jose Sarr. For me, in all the games Johnson played, for £10 million, I never saw an upgrade on Jose Sarr. I didn't understand that signing at all.
I think that might be one of the reasons why that our exporting director is no longer with us.
Possibly. I certainly didn't get it. Was he a better kicker? No. Was he a better shot stopper? Certainly not. Was he better one-on-one? Certainly not. Did he come for more crosses? No, for me. I just couldn't. Did he command his area as well? No. I didn't see anything better at all in Sam Johnson. And I think the fact that he wasn't available for quite a few games in the second half of last season,
mysteriously
indicates it's only going one way.
Yeah, he was mysteriously absent a lot of times, too often for me to be just illness or something else. We kept going, and he's not on this thing, and there was always an excuse. I guess we'll get to the bottom of that at some point. Now, from my point of view, I'm not panicking. I said if we get to about the end of the third week of July and we've still not brought anyone else's, and then I'll start to get a little bit concerned, because we want to give Vitor Pereira every chance to work with new players that be coming in. The later you bring them in the window, the less time he's got to work with them. But we are said to be very, very close to both John Arias. He's a Colombian. Fluminense, I think he plays for. He's supposed to be an absolute natural replacement for Cunha. And we'll just make it look like Cunha's never even gone. And then there's... I think it's Flamengo, Wallace Jan, Brazilian. We've traded well with both Fluminense and Flamengo in the past, bringing in Joao Gomez and Andre. Wolves have got contacts there. The only one issue I think with Wallace, with John Arias, is that Fluminense only own half of his contract, so the other half is owned by another club or something. So those are both said to be the most likely signings. They're both very, very, very good players. I would hope that we start to see players coming in, like you said, Sutty, over the next week. And if both of those players do come, they're up and ready players, quality players. I mean, both of them have, been involved in the Club World Cup as well. Sutty, I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look at either of those, but they do look quality. But again, until they're holding the shirt,
Without sounding too negative, Dave, it's not like me, obviously. I don't tend to really watch much of players they claim to be signing and what have you. Look, we've got 30 players on the books still, I believe, and there's going to have to be still movement of fringe players out to free up a wage bill, and before we can bring players in. But I mean, we start our pre-season friendlies. Is it the 26th?
2 weeks.
July?
2 weeks. Next week. Next fact, it's
2 weeks.
Is it next weekend that we play Stoke? Is it next week?
It's the 26th, isn't it? So that's 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks yesterday. So I want to see.
Yeah, that's right.
75% of our signings in by then. I certainly want to see him in by the time I fly off to Spain for this pre-season friendly. I want to see them playing with the sun on their backs if they're coming from South America, because they should be absolutely buzzing with that. So we've got to look. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I haven't trusted them for 4 years. I haven't trusted Jeff Shi, let's put it that way, because he's a liar. But we've got to hope that Vitor Pereira and his new coaching staff have got something to build on in these pre-season friendlies. I personally don't mind if we've got 5 or 6 in. I'm praying we get 5 or 6 in by the first game of the season. What I don't want is we've only signed Strand Larson and Fer Lopez, and we're tinkering around in the last week of August because we've worked so hard, because we've heard this for 4 years, worked so hard, but they just couldn't get them over the line. You've got to make Wolves an attractive prospect. We've got to be as a attractive prospect as any other club outside that top 6. You can't tell me that players want to go to Brentford, want to go to Crystal Palace. I know it's London. Why do they want to go there and not Wolves? And you've got to sell them the dream. It's as simple as that. And that is their job. That's not my job. My job is to go, pay my hard-earned money and support them week in, week out, all over this country, in rain, snow, whatever you say, high winds, and go everywhere with them. That's my job. That's your job. That's our job as supporters. They've got to give us something to cheer about, and we will cheer them. It's no good waiting to the last week in August when we're in our 3rd game of the season and they've still got a month to get up to speed because they ain't fit. So if they haven't got them already marked down as who they're going to get and they're 80% there, well, they want shooting.
Well, let's hope they have, because I say, as time goes on, people get more and more agitated and stressed. Tim, you've been around the transfer window so many years, reporting, covering, you know the ins and outs of all of these things. Some of it's like moving. There's a lot of moving parts involved in a transfer, isn't there? Agents, players, clubs, other clubs, parent clubs, families, wives, kids, money men, all that sort of stuff. And you know, sometimes it takes for one domino to fall for everything else to start moving. So is this kind of par for the course? And also, what's your thought on Nelson Semedo? Because Nelson Semedo, our captain last year, Vitor Pereira really likes him. He's got apparently a 4-year offer on the table, really, really good money. Wolves, you know, I really want to know what's happening with him. And I think I'm a bit worried about Nelson because he's very well liked by Wolves fans. He's loved by Wolves fans, but he needs to let us know one way or the other, because his reputation is going to take a hit. The longer he keeps dragging it on, people are going to say they're stringing him along. Where are you with that as well?
Yeah, I mean, just to answer your first point first, I think you know, as you allude to, the like if Wolves could sign all their targets, all their top targets, you know, in the first week of July when the transfer windows opens, I'm sure they would. You know, get them all in, you know, to start pre-season training or whatever. But as you say, there are an awful lot of moving parts. You know, I would say any player that Wolves are trying to sign, there will be other Premier League clubs, other foreign clubs in for the same targets. That's the, you know, and that's the nature of it. You know, that they will be in demand. And also the 3 parties involved, you know, the player and the two clubs, and clubs might be, you know, the selling club, if you like, might be trying to get somebody else in first, which kind of you know, aligns with your, you know, dominoes falling into place. Often, you know, it's one or several big deals at the top of the very top of the pile, that them cascading down enables other transfers to happen, and you know, that could well be the case with Wolves now, but you know, the Vitor Pereira knows more than any of us just what is needed to to improve on last season, and I'm sure he'll be doing everything he can, and to make that happen. And I'm sure if he didn't think he could compete with the tools that he's got, I'm sure he wouldn't. He wouldn't hang around for long. He must have been given some assurances that he can make a decent fist of it at Wolves. And have a decent budget. And with you have to look at the money that they've brought in for Cunha, for example, and Aït-Nouri not so much so, because I think we'd have all perhaps expected maybe a bigger fee for him. But with Cunha, I mean, he was on huge money at Wolves for that last 6 months of his contract, the 4-year contract that he only signed on in January to protect his value. And so there's that money that you could arguably hope to sign several more players for that wage, which brings me to Semedo.
Sarabia's off the wage bill as well, and
Sarabia's. I mean, Sarabia. So you're looking at two players there who were on 6-figure per week salaries at Wolves, substantially so in Cunha's case. So I'm led to believe, by far the highest paid player in Wolves history, and Sarabia, too was extremely highly paid. So they've got those two wages to play with. Aït-Nouri less so, but I mean, so I would expect movement hopefully sooner rather than later. I think with Semedo, I must admit I thought it would have been settled by now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go, and I've thought that from day one. Nothing to that leads me to say that, apart from the fact that he's 31. I might be wrong, but I thought he's coming to in the final few years of his career. It's a chance to maybe return home to Portugal. There were rumours going back to the spring of Benfica being interested in him, and that was a move that would, or potential move that would seem to make sense for him. And it was after that Wolves put this 4-year deal on the table for him. But yeah,
that shows how much Vitor really wants to keep him. The fact that he got, at 31, a 4-year deal is I think that's really Vitor.
I think it's a massive statement of Vitor's and the club's sort of belief in him as an influence, as a captain. It's hard to think that he would. I don't know what else he's got on the table. It's hard to think that he would have a 4-year contract anywhere else. So it's a massive statement of Wolves' faith in him, and to keep that sort of captaincy figure. He has got. To me, he's a far better. He's a far more sort of valuable asset in terms of what he brings now than what he did in his first couple of years. I think he's, and actually I would credit Gary O'Neill for part of this. He improved the defensive part of his game massively, because I think he was at one point an area where the opposition would target, and I think he did improve his game.
I think by Nelson Semedo's own admission, his first year defensively wasn't good, but he was playing for Barcelona, and they didn't do that as much defending as what we have to do. I think Lopetegui probably had a good influence on him as well, but I think he's adjusted to the Premier League over a period of time. My understanding is, guys, that there is still going to be 5 players that are going to be coming into Wolves that's what I'm expecting. 5. Whether or not Fer Lopez is one of them 5, I don't know, but I am expecting at least 5 players to be coming in, top quality players. I just think for all of our sakes, we just want to start to see the signings come, because I can quite understand you guys out there getting really frustrated and you see Burnley and Sunderland and all of these signing lots of players. Well, to be fair, they have to because they were had a lot on loans and they spent. I mean, Forest did it, didn't they? When they caught they anyone that walked by, they're spending a lot of money. I think that I had a Leeds fan that came on. I put a comment the other day saying like we're signing anyone that moves, but like he actually put you need to sign, just wait and be patient to sign the quality because they were just signing a lot of players. But we all know that the likes of Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, they're all probably going to give a better fist of it than the teams from last year. So Wolves have got to significantly improve if we're not going to be in a relegation battle. And that means we need to bring in five quality signings. Just a quick commercial break, guys. Just want to tell you about the match bingo that's back on the in the link in the description below. This is a cross between bingo and football. We'll be back for the Premier League season, but the Women's Euros, the MLS, it's going on there. We had so many fans and people that played that at the end of last season. Quite a few of you won a lot of money. As I say, it's a cross between bingo and football. The link is in the description below, or you can click on the QR code on the screen. Moving on to the kit that's been released very, very quickly, and then we're going to do a Q&A. Tim, any thoughts on the new kit?
Yeah, I actually posted, which is quite rare for me these days. I posted a tweet about it. In that I was quite excited about it, and I never get excited about kits. I like the. I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to kits. I don't like Wolves in yellow. I want to see them in gold. I believe. Well, I don't know whether it's the way on social media, whether the club's media team did a very polished job on certainly making the new kit look more gold than yellow.
See, when you say gold and yellow, I get the argument about the kit colours, but really what you mean is more orange. Because if you're going to say yellow, I'm going to say orange because old gold is actually rusty brown.
It is, yeah. Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't say old gold, and I don't like Wolves being referred to as the old gold as the club, because to me it's not old gold. Old gold is like you say, so a rusty sort of brownie colour. To me, Wolves should play in more of a kind of orangey gold. Going back to the sort of kits of the the 70s and 80s. That's how I sort of remember. I know that would be more of a my favourite. And but I do believe the new kit is more of a move towards that. So I'm on the face of what I've seen so far, quite pleased with it.
So, Tate, any thoughts on? I think we did a 38 people. You both were part of that gave it thing. The overall response from the fan base was probably the best response to a new kit since the first Adidas kit. I think it's gone down incredibly well. There's about 1% that hated it, 7% that weren't sure, and then the rest either loved it or really liked it. So, I mean, your thoughts on it for everyone? I know you're not going to buy the kit, Sutty, because you're boycotting at the moment, but like, you did actually quite like the design, I think.
Best kit in 30 years, Dave.
Yeah, it's mate. From what I hear as well, guys, all I can say, I'm hearing the third kit is going to be insanely. Everyone's going to love it. It's supposed to be even better than the first kit, the third kit. But you're going to have to wait till August for the third kit. The second kit is supposed to be quite nice. I think that's going to be the end of the month. But the third kit, someone said to me, if they put, I can't even think what was it that they said, that they said on the front of the kit, if they said they put something at the front of the club, it couldn't be any better. Oh, yeah, they said that if you put Christ the Redeemer on the front of the kit, it couldn't be any better. It's supposed to be unbelievable, the third kit. That's all I'm saying. I've not seen it, but I've spoke to quite a few people who have, and it's supposed to be incredible. And the second kit's still supposed to be quite good, but the third kit's supposed to be something else. So just keep your eyes out for that one.
Sorry, Dave. If the third kit's that good, why is it the third kit?
I don't know why it's the third kit.
Because they're hardly going to wear it, are they?
Well,
they're not hardly going to play in it. I mean,
yeah. All I can say is it's supposed to be something else. This third kit, the second kit's supposed to be quite nice as well. And I did get the opportunity to go up to Sudo head office to review I don't know if people have seen it, review the difference between the Pro and the replica. And they're really, really good people up there who are very, very passionate about producing real good quality kits. I spoke to one of the girls up there who said she was refreshing social media at 9 o'clock at the kit to see how it responded, because they put a lot of work into it to try and make it good. So obviously they spend like 18 months working on kits. So like if it doesn't go down very well, like the ultraviolet kit took a bit of a hit. It was a bit of an out there kit, wasn't it? The ultraviolet kit. However, we won in it, and then they said we won in it, and then sales went through the roof when Cooner hit that winner against Fulham. But they're really doing a good job. There's some good people there who are really trying to make real good quality, bespoke, unique kicks for Wolves. I get people on the colour. I did have a little chat because there was a poll that was done. There was a poll that was done about about next year's kit, which is the 150th anniversary kit. They put a poll out, didn't they? And I spoke to Vinny, and he said the results were interesting on that one. The results of the poll. Personally, I prefer the brighter colour. I like it. If you go back to the 1940s, it's exactly the same colour. But I get that depending on your era, it depends on what type of shade of gold. We've had so many different shades of old gold, whether it's I call it the brighter gold or the darker gold or the mustardy gold or whatever, throughout the years. It's like a patchwork quilt in it of all different colours. So it'll be interesting. But as I say, the 150th anniversary kit planning started for that, well before the end of sort of like December last year, because it's an 18-month process. So it'll be interesting to think. And obviously you're also seeing there's lots of other things coming out in terms of the products on there as well. So it was very interesting. So I hope if you like these sort of reviews as well, if you've not seen if you're thinking about getting a Pro or replica, watch it and you can tell the differences. But I think we'll see what the reaction is to the second and third kits. I want you guys now to ask any questions of Sutty or Tim or me or all of us in the Q&A section that we've got coming up now. So this is your chance to ask anything. You can ask Sutty what his favourite ice cream is, or cream cake, or his favourite ever match. You can ask Tim any sort of crazy experiences that he had as a journalist, or best memories, or games, or even his favourite curry. Anything you like, anything goes. You can ask the question. But before I get on to that, I do want to give a little bit of a plug for share this time. This is Laura, who's become a friend of mine through working with Wolves. Let me just, is this even share? Am I even sharing it yet? Let me just try and share it. Can you see? Stop sharing. Let me try and share screen. Here we go. This is Laura. She lost her. This isn't Laura. That's her sister. Laura is raising money for her sisters because she lost her sister from breast cancer just over a year ago. It really affected her really, really bad. And she's trying to raise money for Macmillan Cancer Support. next weekend. Herself and a team are doing the Peak District Half Marathon hike in memory of her lovely sister, aka Bert. Her and her husband James and partner James, Matt, and her brother and Phil are all making up the team. They lost her on May the 1st last year to breast cancer, and this is why they're doing the hike. There's 3 million people living with cancer in the UK today, so they've hit the target of raising £1,000. But if any of you guys want to chip in to help, I will put the link in the chat. Because on this channel we do want to support good causes. I know Laura really well. It really hit her losing her sister, and she's trying to do something positive in her sister's memory. So if you can help any bit at all, the link as well, and we do send our best wishes to Laura on a campaign with regards to that. So it's 5-0 to England. So we've got some questions coming up. Question from Rebecca. Sutty, what's the first drink you and Chris are having when you land in Spain?
According to Chris, it'll be lots of cocktails, I would think. He likes a cocktail, Chris does.
A cocktail?
He likes the ones where you put the umbrellas and cherries in and everything.
Oh, fantastic. Michael Hall wants to know how long you've been a carpenter.
Since 1987.
1987. Another one for Sutty. What's your favourite pub in Worcester?
Well, I like the tithing, so it's we always start at the Feathers, so I'll give the Feathers a good shout.
Fantastic. Tim, you can take this one. One player realistically you'd like us to sign this summer if we could.
Realistically, oh God, that's really put me on the spot. Well, realistically, but I don't. He's realistic, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he'd either be a target or I personally would choose him. But Leon Bailey of Villa.
Leon Bailey is a good shout. Yeah, it's a good shout. That is. He's a good player. Stuart Kelsall Sutty wants to know: will you be challenging Jeff to a charity boxing match to raise funds towards transfers?
That's a great question.
Firstly, Dave, I would take that on board definitely. Even I've only got one arm, but I think there'd be a bit of.
Can't lift it above there.
But I'll willingly fight with just my left. I'll definitely win because I must be about 4 stone heavier than Jeff.
Yeah. So you're taking that one then?
Yeah.
JS96 said the best boozer in Worcester was the Cricketers, but it closed.
It did. It was a great boozer, that was. Right in the middle of Worcester.
Absolutely. Josh says, me and Manny are doing both the London. This is Jogger Josh. Are doing the London Marathon next year. Do any of you 3 fancy joining us on a training run? Josh, I'll be more than happy to drive by you in my car, egging you on, and pipping my horn for you. But
I'll take on that challenge. I've signed up for the I'm signed up for the Manchester Marathon, and I'm currently running 10k a day, and I've done for every day this year so far. So I've currently run over 1,500 miles so far this year. So I'll come on a training run with Manny and Josh, no problem. Where are they based? Where are they based? How far do they want to run? Is this Manny Singh Kang?
Yeah, Manny. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Manny well. Yeah, I joined Manny on his walk. Is it 48-hour walk around Molineux?
Yeah.
I joined in biblical storm. It was last winter around Molineux. I joined him for a few laps.
There you go, Josh.
And, he's a wonderful man.
There you go, Josh. Sutty, basically, Tim, you might not know this, but Sutty was a very high-level triathlon.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
I'll
that.
come for a run with you.
And he'll come for a run with
Excellent.
you as well. Me, if I to be honest, I can run, but if it's
Will you
running
drive
after,
alongside with bottles of water, Dave?
I'll do that. I'll drive alongside with bottles of water.
Yeah.
I'm more about running after a ball, so like a football or a tennis ball or something like that. I've got to have short-term time. If I start running, I get bored and start thinking, "Oh, it's hurting." If I'm running after, if I think I was a dog in a previous life or something like that, you know. But like a tennis ball during a tennis match, I can run, and I've got little targets, or get into a football, but I'm not really good at just the running side of thing. Another one here for both of you. Quick thoughts, Tim, first. Does the panel think Semedo's 4-year contract should have been removed at the end of June?
Well, no. I mean no, because his existing contract didn't expire till the end of June. So
Exactly.
I think that's unreasonable. I think you've got to. I mean, we're not privy to what the delay is, are we? So I think in a word, no. I mean, how long's a piece of string? How long do you give them? And it's all got to be balanced off with our Wolves missing out on targets in his position by keeping the offer open and waiting for him to make a decision. But no, I mean, yes, I think ultimately you've got to give him a deadline. Because that's only fair to all parties. But he needed longer than the end of June.
Fantastic. It's 5-1 to England. Apparently, Chelsea are beating PSG or something in the other thing as well. Someone's just put, I don't know what the score is, but some down 3-0. Loving hell. What about you? Thoughts on that one, Tomato, Sutty?
I would have taken it off the table now, because if £25.4 million and enough over 4 years for a bloke who's 31, then I'd say, I'm sorry, we got to start looking. And I'd remove it now, because if we meant that much to him, Dave, he'd have signed on the dotted line, and his house would still have furniture in it, wouldn't it?
Fantastic. Question for both of you. I don't know, Sutty, I'll let you answer this one because you follow England quite a lot. What do you think about Tuchel's start for England, and do you think he needs to get more experience in?
Not overly impressed, David. Let's put it that way.
Not overly impressed.
No, I don't think it sends out the right message. Playing the likes of Jordan Henderson and people like that. It's time that new young players were being given these qualifying games and friendlies and what have you now, because we can't rely on 32 to 35-year-old men to pick us up a World Cup in America next year. It's not going to happen. So I don't think he's playing it right myself.
Pink Panther wants to know, if you had a choice of a forward, who would you choose, King John or Bully? Good question, isn't it, that?
Well, King John was my first ever footballing hero.
Yeah.
But Bully was the saviour. Can I have them both, Dave?
I said he thinks you have a choice. I think you've got to make a choice. Sorry.
Well, King John did it at the top, didn't he? So I'm going to go for the King.
A good one. Tim?
Oh, it's so difficult, isn't it? I was lucky enough to see both of them, although I didn't see King John in his prime, but huge admirer of him for what he did for Wolves and as a person as well, and for an ambassador for the city. I think he's fantastic. But as Sutty's gone for King John, Bully was my all-time favourite player, so I suppose I should, in interest of balance, I should go for Bully.
Love it. Patrick Mahan wants to know, both of you, what's your best Wolves away day? Go. Who wants to answer that one first?
Go on, Tim.
See, I suppose it's weird for me because I've got memories as a fan, and I've got memories as a reporter, and they're very they're very different for obvious reasons, really. I mean, I suppose for covering the club, that my immediate thought is the playoff final, because of the it ended that there was just a huge relief and almost disbelief that Wolves had ended that 19-year wait to get back to the Premier League. So yeah, I'd probably go with that as a fan. Oh goodness me, got to be something probably fully related. I would probably have to be the Albion away 89 when Bully hit the last minute winner. That was a huge thing at the time. But there were lots of Bully inspired memories. I don't think I ever got as excited about any player as I did as I did Bully.
Love it. Your favourite away day, mate?
Well,
Sutty?
likewise, 89 2-1 win away in Birmingham to our local rivals. They won't like me saying Birmingham, will they? But this will be a bit of an unusual one for most, because at 16 years of age, I was told that I could go away from home and what have you on my own after starting on a YTS youth training scheme, as
You
they
on the
were back
coach
in
as a kid?
Pardon?
You on the coach as a kid or in a minibus?
No. In the back of an old transit van going from ground to ground, that sort of thing. And older shot in the playoffs away where we lost, Dave. And the name Bobby Barnes still gives me nightmares. But it was the exuberance of youth, being almost allowed out, caged in like animals everywhere you went. And their memories in the 4th and 3rd division, where Bully scored 50 goals in each of the seasons, that will just live forever, because that's how I got most of my lower league away days in with Wolves, which you'll never replicate now, as long as we're in the top division, unless we luckily draw an away day against a lower league team. So for me, there's the Villas away where we turn them over, and Albion, of course, Man City, Besiktas, all these places, fantastic. But for me personally, the days of the 4th division, we had nothing money-wise, but what we did have, Dave, we had camaraderie on the terraces that was a never say die camaraderie, and it was, I don't think you'll ever see it again. It was incredible.
Special day. Carl says there's 66 likes on the live. Come on, guys. There's over 900 of you watching live. That's mad. Smash a like on the old video, would you? That'd be great. I appreciate that. If you've enjoyed tonight's show, that would be much appreciated. And of course, we do appreciate all subscribes to the YouTube channel, but we're also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter X, and all of those places as well that you can find Always Wolves. And our website is alwayswolves.co.uk, which is fantastic, which has lots of articles going on it every single day. Final question, because we're going to turn 90 minutes, nearly the final whistle. If she was rebuilding some of the stands, where would you stick the away fans? Similar location, or do Newcastle stick them out the way up top?
Go on, Tim.
I would. I'd put them higher up. I wouldn't have. I'd never have them behind the goal again, because I think it gives the opposition an advantage. I'd have them basically in the kind of corner up the top. So if you imagine the North Bank side of the Steve Bull stand-up tier, if I had a choice, but obviously, with 3,000, that's going to spill over. So whether you could somehow segregate part of the whole stand, so you had a bit like Villa have got with the Doug Ellis stand, you know, that the one side, part of one side, upper tier, lower tier, but you're kind of keeping them as far away, you know, from the goal action as possible, really.
There's a nice quote for you from Joe getting the Sporting Star after a Wolves win, reading Tim Nash and David Stone match reports. How lovely is that? That's class, that is.
Oh, bless! I used to love putting the pink together. Yeah, sadly, I think it stopped in 2009. But great memories of like, you know, on the phone from
Everyone used
Molyneux,
to
putting
rush
on
out to
my
buy the
match
pink.
report together, and then seeing it, you know, literally hot off the press at 5:30. I used to have so much pride in doing it, and I was, yeah, really proud to be a part of it, and it was yeah, yeah, just felt privileged to, you know, I for me, I got to live the dream, and you know, I grew up a Wolves fan. I got to cover next best thing to playing football for me was to write about Wolves, and I, you
You
know, I
did
got
it
the
for
chance to
many,
do that
many
for
years.
many years. So yeah, I was very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, it's been absolutely fun for me. I was talking to someone not so long about, and all the recent managers all have a problem with the away supporters being along the backside of the pitch when they come out, and all you can see, you know, from the cameras is the away supporters. Now, I don't think the away supporters particularly like it because they're spread out along the bottom, so they can't get in that little to create the noise. It is an issue, and it's a problem that is being looked at. I think as part of the Steve Bull redevelopment, I think as part of the plans, they're looking at having them on the side, so in
Mm.
a maybe in a two-tier thing. But again, work needs to be done on the stadium because you've got to allow for 3,000. It's the only place at the moment that they seem to be able to do, but the managers don't like it. I don't think the away fans like it, and I don't think we like it. So it's in everyone's interest. But Newcastle, that's the worst one. I mean, I love Newcastle away, but you literally are almost standing on top of the roof. You're that far
Mm.
away. It's like a Subbuteo
Yeah.
pitch, and I think Newcastle moves them, but I think they lose a little bit the atmosphere because of the fact the away fans are so far away. I think you need that little bit of banter.
Mm.
And Newcastle, although it's a great away day, it's not great to see. And I think having the banter between the fans, sometimes there's gallows humor that goes on between the fans, and there's, you know, laughing and joking and banter that goes. You need that banter, and I think it'd be better for Wolves if, and the atmosphere as a whole, if they were more together in a block. But yeah, that brings us back. That brings us back to Molyneux, doesn't it? Where we kind of kicked it all off. So let's wait and see. Final thoughts from you for everyone for the season ahead, Tim. Obviously, we're still a month away from the start. Pre-season's just kicking off. Yeah, you still got the faith and belief we're going to bring in the right players. Confident.
Yeah, yeah. No, I am. You know, I think uh, having, you know, Vitor Pereira with a full pre-season ahead of his first full pre-season. I mean, I've it's been great getting to know him. Actually, I've had the privilege of doing virtually all of his pre-match press conferences
Is this Vitor?
since he's been in. Yeah, and he he's you know, he's such a passionate person, and you know, I think I always think about managers, you know, that they can, some of them, you know, the best ones can sort of inspire you, and you feel like, God, I wish I could play. I wish I could be in a dressing room with him. I wish I could play. You know, I'd feel 10 foot tall. You know, he would inspire me. He'd really get me going. And Vito was a bit like that. He's got a lot of charisma, and also, you know, a lot of experience as well, and a huge sort of determination to prove himself in the Premier League. I think he doesn't underestimate this chance he's been given, because I think he's always wanted him to test himself on the biggest stage possible, and he's got that chance now. And I don't think he wants to. He certainly doesn't want to waste it. and I think he believes he can achieve something at Wolves. What that is, I don't know. Is that a top half of the table finish? I think most fans would probably grab that with both hands, because it had been improvement on the last few years and avoid the sort of brushes with relegation that we've had. And hopefully with the signings that he's looking to make, that could be achieved. I'd certainly be happy with that, and a proper cup run as well. God, wouldn't it be great
Mate, I'd love it.
to see Wolves lift a major trophy again?
And I look at Palace and Newcastle last year, and this is something that we should definitely be aiming for.
I agree.
That's great. Thank you ever so much, Tim. Sutty, final thoughts for everyone.
Let's make sure we back this man, and don't forget, Jeff. Personal message to you that if this man hadn't saved your neck, and I know you spent some money in January to help him out, which you had absolutely no choice in doing, else would have been relegated, you would be facing the wrath now of a fan base that would make your life hell. So back him, do the right thing in a World Cup year, Jeff. Let's have a good season. Let's see improvement. Let's try and do our business as early as possible and give this man a pre-season, because there's not many managers we've had since Nuno that have actually had a proper pre-season with a squad of players that they wanted. And it makes all the difference, Dave. A proper pre-season makes all the difference for bonding, especially where new players are concerned. Don't just drop them in the day before we kick off our Premier League campaign. Give this man the tools he needs. And I trust this bloke, but I'm not so trusting about Jeff, Dave.
I think it's fair to say, good points. I think it's fair to say from the leadership changes and the structures, I think there has been a realisation. I think Jack was on here, and he from the fans advisory board, and I know that the trust have got a meeting with Jeff. Jeff is trying to be a little bit more in touch with the fans. From Chris was saying that he's actually going to meet with the trust board, which is great, and that's him that wants to do that, so that's good. I will again send an invitation out to Mr. Jeff Shi. I'd love to have you come and chat with us on the channel, and myself and a couple of the other fan groups, we'd love to sit down with you and do a real fan interview. Vita Pereira is all about the fans and the city, and I think that would be fantastic as well. But 100%, we need to see players coming in sooner rather than later, because Vita Pereira does need time to work with the team. If they come in last minute and then you're trying to gel them in and stuff like that, he needs time to work with them. So let's hope that the next week to 10 days we start to see some signings come. Tim, you were right there on episode 1 of Always Wolves podcast. The first, I remember, sitting down and doing that in person, and I'm really honoured and chuffed that you still pop on from time to time. So thank you ever so much for giving up your time tonight, mate. It really means a lot. So
no, thank you very much. I know we've tried a few times in more recent months and stuff to get it off the ground. It hasn't happened for one reason or another, but no. So really pleased to have done it tonight, and thanks again for thinking of me, and good to have shared the stage with you, Sutty, as well. For the first time, good to chat with you, and all the best to you both over the coming months.
I appreciate that, mate. Thank you so much,
Dave.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly mention one thing before we sign off?
Yes, you mentioned
the girl who's raising money. Sadly, her sister passed away. The money raised is so important to obviously treat people with this horrible disease. I've got a friend, Mark, and he got in touch with me last year to tell me, sadly, his wife Jenny had been diagnosed with cancer. Well, in the last few days, she's had the all clear, Dave. And without these kind of funds that these people selfishly try and raise, these good news stories wouldn't happen. So Mark and Jenny, go and live your life. Be happy. Well done.
Oh, that's absolutely class. And thank you ever so much. We've had currently got over 900 watching live, which is amazing. There'll be loads more. We'll watch it back on catch up. It will also be out on the Always Wolves podcast on audio. Probably some before lunch tomorrow, so you'll be able to listen to it back in the car or at work or whatever as well. And like I say, during the summer, it's great to have two different fans and pundits on each week before we get back into the extra time after each of the shows. So we'll have two different guests on each of the next 2 or 3 weeks as well. But Sutty, great to have you on, mate. Tim, hopefully get you on a little bit more regular during the season. Time allowing.
Excellent. Thanks, folks.
Thanks,
all the best.
All the best. Always Wolves, everyone. Thanks ever so much, and enjoy the rest of your week coming up.